Hey everyone, Sirlin here from the Fantasy Strike team, and I am super excited to tell you about our new team battle mode, which is my favorite way to play Fantasy Strike. It's awesome, okay? So in this mode, you pick 3 characters, and your opponent picks 3 characters, and then you play a series of 3 out of 5 games amongst those characters. Each one is still a regular 1v1 game, so it's just a way to play a series of games with a whole bunch of characters. Now, the high concept here of playing a team battle of my several characters against your several characters, that is not new. Okay, there's a lot of fighting games that have implemented that in various different ways. It's pretty common, but what is new here is the way that this works. The specific way that it works in Fantasy Strike, I think, is actually innovative. I've never seen it before, and I think it solves a problem that competitive fighting games tend to have in an interesting way. So I want to tell you about a few things. So let me tell you how to even get to this mode in the game real quick, and then how does it work exactly, and then what's good about it. So how you get to this mode, if you choose local play from the main menu, we now have a new sub-menu where you can choose the standard 1v1 battle or the team battle. That's if someone is next to you in the same room. Your other option is if someone is online, your friend is online. Now, as a side note, when you challenge someone, when you challenge a friend online in Fantasy Strike, we also do something that I haven't seen before in any other fighting games. So when your friend accepts, we don't put you in a lobby, or you never had to set up a lobby or do any kind of settings like that. There's no UI for that at all. You just are put into the same game flow, the same UI, as if you were sitting next to them. So if I challenge you and you accept, we're just like playing locally together, basically, as far as the game is concerned, which is really nice and simple. Now, that used to mean that we put you on the character select screen when you accept my friend challenge, but now, because there's these 2 modes, we go one step back, and you and your friend get put on the sub menu where you choose whether to play a standard battle or team battle. Very simple. Okay, so how does this work? All right, so I pick 3 characters and you pick 3 characters, and now we're going to play this series of games. So for game 1, the computer picks one of my 3 characters and picks one of your 3 characters, and then we play that for game 1. Whoever wins, let's say you win, and good job, by the way. Your character will get a crown and move to the top of the screen, and then my in the team battle interface, my character will get X'd out for the loss and move to the bottom. So we've each got 2 characters left. So for game 2, the computer will select one of my remaining 2 characters, one of your 2 characters, and then we'll play that matchup. Again, winning character gets a crown, losing character gets X'd out. Then for game 3, we each only have 1 character left, so we play that, and again, the crown and X out. Now, if somebody won all 3, that means that they've got 3 characters with a crown, and it's over. So that's the win condition. You've got to win with all 3 of your characters. Now, if someone didn't win all 3, it's not over yet, and any characters that are X'd out at that point get resurrected, and then we keep playing matchups until someone has 3. So think of it like this. In Tetris, you get random pieces. There's 7 different pieces in Tetris, but you don't get like the T piece over and over 5 times in a row. That's not possible. It's because you get a random different piece until you've gone through the whole list of 7 pieces, and then it resets, and then you can get new pieces from the list again. So it's like that here too. You get a random character each game, keep switching each game, but you don't get repeats until you've gone through the whole list. And that's important because imagine if one of the characters you're really good at, like you're best in the world at or something. It would really suck if you could lose the entire team battle somehow and never even get to play your character. So that's impossible because you will always play all of your characters. And incidentally, there's no bans. That would be terrible as well if you were really good at a character but never got to play him because you were banned. So you don't have to worry about that. You'll always play all 3 of your characters. That's pretty much it for how it works. You play a different character each game, and you got to win with all 3 to win. And no repeats until you've been through the list. So what's so good about it? I want to come at this from a really hardcore competitive angle for a minute, and then then the more casual angle after that. And actually, before I even cover either of those, whether you're hardcore or casual, something that's really nice about this whole thing is just the flow of it. After you pick your 3 characters, everything is automated except for the gameplay itself. So you won't be making any decisions after that point except for gameplay decisions. And we never have to stop and wait and ask you, do you want to switch characters, or what does your opponent want to do with characters? No, it's just game after game after game. Just roll right through it all, and it flows really nice and feels really nice. Okay, but back to the hardcore competitive angle. So the thing that's innovative here, and the problem that's being solved, it has to do with counter picks. So I'd like you to imagine a fighting game that's really well balanced, like its matchup chart of every character versus every character. Imagine that it's mostly 5-5 fair matchups, or some 6-4 or 4-6. That almost all of the matchups are really fair, and then there's a few, like 10% or fewer, that are extreme matchups that are like 7-3 or 8-2. So this hypothetical game, it is overall really well balanced, way better than the average fighting game, and yet even in a game like that, even in a game that's well balanced, what you'd expect is that competitive play would end up being a lot about the very small number of matchups that are the most unfair. And the reason is because usually counter picks are allowed. So it would be like game 1, we each pick a character in a double blind fashion, like without knowing who, the character of the other player, and then let's say you win, then I would counterpick. I'd pick the best character to beat whoever you just played. And then if I win, then you would pick the best character. You'd switch. You'd pick the best character to beat who I just played. So that mechanism, it causes you to have most of the matchups focus, over half the time, you're going to be playing this small set of really extreme matchups. And it just kind of sucks. I mean, it sucks to watch. It sucks to participate in. It's been a frustrating thing in fighting games for a long time. And I want to say kind of the same thing a different way to help you give you some intuition for it. So imagine a character. We'll take Rook in Fantasy Strike. This is an example. These are made up numbers. This is not a claim about the balance for real. But just imagine that Rook had all 5-5 totally fair matchups against the whole cast, except one character. Let's say Lum. So imagine that Lum beats Rook like really hard, but otherwise is fair. So is Rook a good character to pick competitively? Well, at first glance, I mean, yeah, because he's got fair matchups against most of the cast. That's pretty valuable. And there's only one difficult matchup, so maybe just learn how to play that one and skate by. But the thing is that what you would actually expect to happen in a tournament or in a competitive ladder is that there'd be Lums everywhere, like Lums that are just there for your Rook. They don't even play Lum, but they know, as soon as they see your Rook, they're going to switch to Lum, and that's all you're ever going to play. So you wouldn't play a proportionate number of Lums. You'd play like an army of mostly Lums all the time. And when you did face them, you will lose the entire match unless you can beat their Lum. Like everything would be focused on this one, in this example, 1/10 of Rook's matchups. It would just all be about that. Now, in our actual team battle system, it is nothing like that. And I want you to think about the upside and the downside of the counter-picking Lum player in our system. So the upside, first of all, even if you have Lum on your team and I have Rook on mine, it doesn't mean that matchup's going to happen. So you might have put your Lum in there for nothing. Even if the matchup did happen, and even if you won, which is the best possible thing you could hope for, that you didn't win the whole thing. I mean, your Lum got a crown, but the team battle isn't over. So your upside is a lot less than it is in the more traditional system. But that's actually overwhelmed by the downside. You have an enormous downside here. If you put like a fraudulent Lum on your team, like you don't know what you're doing, but he's just there to beat Rooks, good luck, because you're probably going to lose the whole thing because of that. Because you've got to win with all 3 of your characters. You've got to actually win with that Lum. And I might have like all my characters get their crowns just from beating your Lum. So at the end of the day, another way of putting this is what method should you choose to construct your team? So should it be some kind of like metagame call where you've analyzed the matchup chart and you've maximized the most unfair matchups that you'll be able to play? And actually, no, that's not really what you do. You should pick the 3 characters that you're best at, and that's pretty much it. So it's a relief that the simplest strategy of picking characters that you want to do is the correct one. And it's also a relief that you get to play a wide variety of matchups, mostly fair ones, instead of just a few most unfair ones. So it is a great property. Now, another angle to look at this is from the spectator's point of view. That's terrific too, because the spectators are getting to see a variety of matchups all the time. It's exciting and interesting. And then from a casual point of view, I mean, it's even though the thinking behind this mode was actually specifically for competitive play, it turns out it's the best casual mode too, because you get variety. You know, you get to play matchup after matchup, and things keep changing. And sometimes if there's a matchup that's really tough and you can't quite figure it out, you're just a casual anyway. Well, you get a new matchup right after that. So it's kind of funny that it works really well for new players and beginners and people who aren't that deep into the game, and then it works really well for the most hardest of the hardcore experts in a tournament. So that's it. That's our team battle mode. As you can see, I am very excited about it. So please give it a try, and take care.